Y'all failed to remind me to change my YouTube profile picture. Good morning, rich guys. Okay, let's do my pre-market analysis real quick. We still have a decent ways until market open. But as you can see, I'm obviously going to be bullish. What day was it? It was Wednesday that I was bullish for all-time highs to break. It didn't happen. We're kind of getting into that territory again. We're not quite there on ES. But if we come within 10 points of that all-time high, so roughly around 01, somewhere up here, I'm going to be leaning pretty bullish for all-time highs to break on ES. And Q just swept this beautiful pivot perfectly. Let me extend these zones as well. And Q also has some decent pivots above. I think we're good. Yeah, and Q also has some decent pivots above. I'm going to mark these out though, because it also has very nice pivots below. So if we do drop, there should be no shortage of PTs today, which is a good thing. Do you offer any in-person trading? I lost 200K in a week. In person, like in real life? No, my first thought is 200K, is that real money or is that prop firm money? Second off, uh, someone that's has the physical ability to lose 200K in a week should not need a training of any kind, really. Um, yeah, you can go to some things like some Tom Hugard events or something to network and whatnot. But if you have the ability to lose 200K in a week, you should have already mastered trading. Otherwise, you are uh, exposing yourself to absolute cataclysmic disaster. Yeah, Rich, how is it possible that you lose 200K in a week and you're in need of in person training? Why would you expose yourself to that if you don't have the skill set to support that kind of? I mean, I can help you. I mean, I have master classes and whatnot, but it seems to me like you are way overexposed to the market, and it's going to start turning into a gambling addiction. Yep. Well, if you're serious and not trolling, you can DM me. Um, yeah, you can DM me on Discord. My Discord is Bryce Trade, so if you DM me, I can try to help. But give me just 1 second here. Let me post this pre-market analysis. Okay. Just wondering what indicators I use. The only one I use is the supply and demand indicator. Everything else on my charts for decoration. San. There was a point in time when I did use all these indicators, but they become more and more pointless the more experience you come with price action. So they all can serve a purpose, but they don't tell me anything that the candlesticks themselves don't already tell me. The only indicator that I actually use as a bias builder for my probability analysis is supply and demand. All the other indicators are genuinely just decoration. What's the supply and demand indicator? The blue on the left is volume profile. That's a solid indicator. It doesn't really put any weight on my trades. Maybe it does subconsciously, but the blue indicator on the left, that is volume profile. So standard volume is volume by time. Volume profile is volume by price. It's good for identifying liquidity gaps and high liquidity levels, which act as support and resistance. And then the supply and demand indicator, it's on TradingView. It is a paid indicator. So if you don't want a small monthly subscription, you can pay for the supply and demand masterclass to learn to chart supply and demand by yourself without the need of the indicator. The thing with the supply and demand indicator is it's not a necessity, it's a luxury, right? You can learn to chart supply and demand yourself. Like I'll teach you that. But it's a luxury. It saves you a lot of time because that's the worst part about supply and demand is it takes a lot of time. So which one? I have the indicator right now. Yes, of course, Mo, and that's what I do. So I look at ES and NQ, and I trade S&P 500 and Nasdaq options off of that analysis. And the reason why I look at ES and NQ is because huge institutions all over the world trade ES and NQ overnight. They don't really trade SPY overnight. That's why in the pre-market on SPY you have all those crappy candles, there's gaps. But if I know other countries with other really big institutions are trading the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq, that means historical and relevant levels are being created. By using the ES and NQ charts, I'm able to get more context, right? I'm able to see the overnight supply and demand zones. I'm able to see the overnight pivots that formed, the perfect bottoms, the perfect tops, any patterns and trends. And it gives me more context for trading the market open, if that makes sense. So you'll always see me on ES and NQ, and that's another nice thing is I recommend that new traders shouldn't even trade options. They should trade futures. But if you do trade futures, my alert channel is still relevant to you. You can use my TA and still take my trades. So it's that's what I've been doing for years now. I think since 2022. Early 2022, I switched to only looking at ES, maybe late 2022 actually. No, I don't. There's no need to watch SPY and QQQ. They don't tell me any relevant information except the volume spikes are nice, but aside from that, there's no. Good questions though today. Um, I bought your indicator yesterday after watching your YouTube. Okay, Salmon, did you join the support Discord? There's a tutorial video, Salmon. Tonight I'm gonna redo the freaking the WAP because it's supposed to give you the tutorial video. It is a bit of an older video, but let me know if you have any questions. You just texted me. Well, I didn't get a text and I didn't get a DM from you, rich guys. Do this live every single day. Only the first week of each month. So today's the last day of it. I got to go back to my 4K Discord streams because I have to drop the quality a bunch in order to do this double stream. NQ just went pivot to pivot. It's a really nice sweep. I mean, if you want hang on. I mean, yeah, here, I guess. I mean, I'm not trying to, like, I'm not, the point of this session, like, is not supposed to be a billboard, guys. So I'm not going to talk about, like, I'm not here to sell you guys things. I am here to record my live trading sessions and ideally make everyone money is my goal. Now, yesterday was great on options. Yesterday was freaking terrible on futures. Oh my gosh. The market did nothing besides go sideways. But in the end, I was only down by 2 red trades because I did have one big one finally at the end. It was literally the 5th attempt of my hypothesis. Yesterday's futures was freaking atrocious. Was not a good time. And you know, that's the interesting thing though. Every single week that I live stream for free in any fashion, the options is the same, but the futures just is not very good. So I'm hoping today we can kind of break that streak. But if we don't break the streak today, and I'm red on futures again, which again I trade futures second and third hour. If I'm red on futures again, and then next week is fantastic, well, I might only stream the options moving forward. We'll have to see. Good morning, Basil. I remember you were talking about the 5 rules of Mark Douglas or something. Can you go over again? Yeah, I can do that for you guys. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up the PDF. Yes, J Leo. Yep, every single day. Okay, so the Mark Douglas, I believe it's 6 rules. Oh, hang on, that's the recording. The 6 Mark Douglas rules are number 1, I'm completely reconciled to spend the amount of money my edge says is necessary to find out if the next trade turns out to be a winner. Number 2, the outcome of each individual trade in a series is a unique event that has no discernible relationship with the outcome of any previous or future outcomes. Number 3, the diversity of the intentions of other traders who are about to submit orders to the flow can cause anything to happen. Since I don't know what that anything might be, I'm going to execute the signal my edge calls for and make myself available to either win and collect my profits or pay my expenses. Either way, I'm fine. Number 4, the risk of a trade not working always exists, so trade like it. Number 5, each prediction that results from my analysis is always a guess, nothing more than a guess. I am guessing what's going to happen. And finally, number 6, capturing the favorable odds built into my edge over a series of trades has nothing to do with being right or wrong. There you go. J Leo, because money. Because I make more money trading options, at least at the start, and I don't want to give up options trading. It's what I've been doing for a living. So ideally, I will finish mastering my future strategy, and then I'll have options first hour, and then my income producing future strategy for the second and third hour. That's the plan there. Yeah, no problem. Let's see what news there is today. Today we have a couple things at 10 o'clock, 30 minutes after market open, which is Eastern. We have UMich consumer sentiment. We already had a bunch almost an hour ago. Let me check trading economics, make sure I'm not getting scammed. Yeah, we just have sentiment and then Fed Kashkari's speech. Kashkari could move the markets, so be advised of that. Do you have your Discord? I cannot share that. Someone in chat can, but again, not going to deal with other people accusing me of stealing members. But someone else can send that, yeah. Well, it looks like the start NQ is going to head to demand. I'm going to be a little bit more conservative today. Yesterday was a fantastic day. Right at the gate, we've printed. That was pretty... No, sorry, that was Wednesday. Yesterday was a fantastic day because we closed up off on that freaking risky double whammy where I was in puts and calls, and the plan was sell the winner and average down on the loser. So, which means the second trade was inherently going to be bigger than the first, which is risky. But they ended up both winning. It played out flawlessly. So yesterday's options was great. Little did I know the next 2 hours would be straight pain. And I'll show you guys on the chart why it was pain if you missed it. Here is my futures trading session. It's from 8:30 to 10:30. There it is. Look at it in all its splendor. Yesterday's price action. So, yeah, it was rough. I did finally end on a win, though. So it could have been worse. Calls at open. Can always count on you, Incognito, to run your calls at open, dude. We have 1 minute till market open now. When did you start trading? 2020. Right when I turned 18, because I'm young. I'm only 23. Not stealing when you're more realized and disciplined, or realizable and disciplined. You know, Michael, that compliment made my tail wag. I appreciate that. Okay, well, if ES invalidates the majority of the move while being strong, I am going to enter SPX calls for market open, assuming that my thinkorswim isn't going to break today. It shouldn't. But NQ is starting off pretty dang weak. Very weak, actually. My next pivot, these yellow lines are my pivots. This is where NQ should get to, minimum. So if we can, you know, QQQ puts are not bad here. ES is bearishly consolidating. It is a little bear pennant. You can scalp it to the nearest pivot. And it already got there. And NQ, ES is really strong. So it's either Q puts or SPX calls, one or the other. Because there is a huge strength divergence right now. I do like Q calls, but the problem is we're already in 7 freaking demand zones and on a pivot. The only thing is ES is bearishly consolidating, but with how strong it is and how possible it is that NQ sweeps and bounces out of this demand, it's just not super likely to do anything right now. Why are calls expensive today? Because we ran really hard overnight, and yeah, I know. I kind of feel that too. I feel like they're a little more expensive, but I don't know. You guys look in the description of this live. I always trade the same thing. Looks like the Q puts are winning though. ES looks like it's going to get to demand down here. And keep in mind S&P on the left, Nasdaq on the right. Looks like NQ's going to get the next pivot. Yes, it just did. I don't know. NQ might drag ES to demand. It looks like it doesn't really want to go there. It's a pretty slow market open on ES. I mean, we've gone nowhere in the first few minutes. But this does look like a potential bullish liquidity sweep on NQ. We've got 3 lower lows with buying wicks in a row. That is like a screaming signal of a bounce. The only reason why I wouldn't take a risky reversal trade is ES is still bearishly consolidating, which is potentially bearish. That is playing out though. That is a bullish liquidity sweep and a reversal out of demand. Let's see how nice this candle closes. No, you don't want that selling wick. ES is still stronger than NQ though. I really don't mind ES calls. I mean, you could. I'm not ES call, SPX calls. You could take it. I'd rather wait for a majority of this drop to invalidate and then take it to the pre-market high. But no, that's a really nice candle. I think it's okay entering if it's half size, and I save room to either average down or just cut the losses. Yeah, I like it. Let's see if the candle's going to close strong. And it's not closing as strong as I wanted. This candle opened bullish though. I kind of want to take it. No, NQ, okay. My finger was on the trigger there for a second. Now Q puts look good again. The problem is, I mean, I would want two oscillations to enter Q puts because I forgot that I agreed to trade a bit more conservative. But ES is really strong, and if NQ can put in two oscillations, then I'll enter Q puts. Otherwise, I'm still liking calls just a little bit more because that is a fully confirmed liquidity sweep in demand there on NQ. Incognito holding XBX calls strong. Hope it goes well for you, buddy. Yep, that is nice. That is very nice. I'm actually kind of liking Q calls more at the moment. I'm not sure. I'm kind of considering entering both SPX and QQQ calls, spreading out the risk because I don't know which is stronger. But never mind, that's the world's biggest selling wick. We dealing with another indecisive morning. Oh wait, hang on, that closed nice. I did fill half in. I filled in both SPX calls and QQQ calls there right at the end of that candle. It looks like I filled a little high on the QQQ calls, and as far as the SPX calls, yeah, I did okay. My SPX fill is 2.9. But I am in each. Ideally, I'm looking for supply. I'm a little bit lighter than full size between the two, but I'll have a hard stop loss. I don't really plan on averaging down. If ES gets down to here, I'm out. Because then it's probably going to get to demand. But I'm hoping that NQ at least get to supply, and it looks like ES is in fact flipping weaker, which is not good for me. But NQ supply is a good trim point. Looks like that's a good thing I did that. Looks like NQ did flip stronger. It was really hard to tell. And that's why sometimes like I just won't choose one because I don't know which is going to end up being better. So I'll just spread out my risk a little bit, and it just heightens the chance that if there is a move, I'll be able to catch it. There's NQ supply. That's a good trim point for these calls. And I am trimming some profits, but it kind of looks like we're going to go to pre-market high, so I'm going to be pretty reluctant to trim a big amount. That looks beautiful. Type in chat. Who's catch? Who made money on this? Incognito, congratulations, buddy. I always believed in you. Honestly, your method is it's just guaranteed money every morning, you know? Just go all in on calls every morning and, you know. For the new people, don't take that serious. Got this on futures. Nice. Yeah, it was that is a really nice liquidity sweep in demand on NQ. Uh, but and that's a good thing that I trimmed because that candle came out of nowhere. That looks like news, folks. What was that? There was no shot that wasn't news. If we invalidate that selling wick, we're gonna go pretty high, but I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm pretty trimmed on this trade now. I was gonna hold a bunch till the pre-market high, and it might still get there. But that wick spooked me. I did not like that at all. Not a fan of that. I have a fairly small position left. Actually, a really small position left. I'll let it do its thing. Nice job, Alex. Glad that happened. Looks like everyone got it. Nice. Glad to see that. Looks like ES is back to being stronger. So I'll let these runners run. And yeah, I only have a runner position in SPX and it's small. ES is flipped a lot stronger than NQ. It's actually turning into a nice call re-entry if this red candle validates based on its strength. But that was really good position management, really good trims. I mean, the calls on SPX got all the way to 4.5. Realistically, though, you should have been able to sell around 4. Which is 40% gains on SPX. That is a really bullish close on that last candle. ES is stronger, and NQ put in that really bullish bull hammer. That looks pretty good for a short squeeze. I have no idea why so many shorts entered on that random 37 candle, the 737 candle my time. But if it looks like they're getting invalidated, this looks good for a short squeeze to my BTs. Let's see if it ends up playing out. The Q calls went up more though. Six. Yeah, QQQ calls got freaking 87% from my fill. The SPX calls got 40. That's nuts. I don't know why there's such a huge discrepancy in that. That's actually bizarre. Maybe the SPX calls were truly just more expensive, and the NQ calls, QQQ calls were a lot cheaper. This is turning into bullish consolidation. If it gets back to here, it's a nice call trade. I will probably re-add calls if we get back and invalidate the selling wicks. Looks like NQ's gaining strength back as well. They keep flip-flopping, but not bad today. What's up, Dev? Well, we've taken one trade so far, technically two, but one hypothesis, and it's been bright green this morning, so no complaints on my end. NQ looks solid right now. Doesn't look like it matters though. I actually don't mind SPX puts. If we dump, I don't mind SPX puts to the low there. I just need NQ to invalidate this potential bullish consolidation. I'm okay opting in on that. And uh I only have a single SPX runner left, and I did go back to a tiny QQQ position, so I have a tiny runner position in both. I don't think it's going to go anywhere, though. I think it was a really good idea to start trimming that right when NQ got into supply. Yep, that looks good for puts for me on that. Nope. Why we let our candles close. That went from being really bearish to pretty bullish on NQ with that buying wick. If that buying wick fully invalidates, I'm okay taking a small put trade. Half size, but I don't plan on adding to it. NQ looks freaking beautiful, guys. This is textbook bullish consolidation. I might re-alert Q calls if that invalidates properly. But looks like my SPX puts may win. I'm very stuck between these two biases right now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take Q calls again. If it can hold a really bullish candle. I need NQ to close around 770 or above it, and I'm in. Because that is really nice strength, really nice bullish consolidation. That'll look really nice. By the way, never mind, I can't talk. I'm about to have to fill this. Okay, is this bull flag gonna play out or not? Like, make a freaking decision. I'm starting to lean for SPX puts. NQ's taking too long to break to this upside. I'm starting to think the chances are getting higher of ES reaching this low. But ES is also starting to flip strengths again. Did not match that red candle with NQ at all. Honestly, if we invalidate this drop, I might split the difference between calls and split the difference with SPX and QQQ calls. It's your only job. Um, if you're asking if I'm employed, no. No, I only make money from trading and trading related things. Oh, that's good. If this closes without a selling wick, I am in SPX and QQQ calls. I'm not going to be able to alert it formally, though. I'll just ping everyone. I need this to close without this selling wick. Now the next candle needs to open bullish. It's a pretty decent open on NQ. Wait, what am I doing? No, it's gonna be puts. Yeah, I'm in puts. I'm in SPX and QQQ puts for ES low of day and QQQ or NQ demand. BT's pretty freaking close though. This is more of like a scalp. NQ nearly got demand. ES nearly got the low. Let's see if it actually gets there. Or if it barely misses my PT, that's gonna suck. It looks like it. I might have got hornswoggled. I might have just got baited into this. Looks like I got baited. My SPX fill was significantly better than my QQQ fill. NQ is also a lot stronger. A lot stronger, but you can see NQ barely missed demand. And ES missed the new low update pivot by 1 point. I'm thinking I'm going to have to cut these and enter calls. Because it looks like the wonderful market is actually compressing. And when it's compressing, I keep having to enter. I keep getting triggered into opposite trades waiting for a break. And if it keeps compressing, I'll just lose money. And typically that first trade technically never even got to my PT. It didn't even get to ES supply. The only reason I'm green is because I started trimming right at NQ supply, which ends up looking like a freaking fantastic decision. But it looks like, yeah, if we get back up to here, I'm going to have to be back in calls. With ES's weakness, now the PT is kind of demand because I really do need that NQ demand. That's looking like a bullish buying wick though in ES. Yeah, oof. ES was like my only hope of dragging NQ down, but if it doesn't want to go down, this trade's over. I was liking ES a lot, not anymore. It's not. It's way too reluctant to invalidate that reversal candle. Way too reluctant. I need this candle to close without a wick. Like NQ looks okay right now. Yes, not really. But I am technically break even, so you could run away if you want. Pretty much alerted my channel. I'm prepping to stop loss. I don't think it's going to work. Way too reluctant to invalidate that reversal candle. ES should have not put in those 4 buying wicks in a row afterwards. Which means I'll stop out of this and I'll have to enter calls again. And my only hope is that it just doesn't keep compressing. Because if it keeps compressing, I'm just going to have to lose money because I'm not getting any pivot swept. And unfortunately, I couldn't be in for this pivot sweep. It was too close to market open. Yep, that's the squeeze I predicted. I'm out and in calls, just like I said. Sometimes the problem with being so good at TA is that you know when you're going to stop loss and what's going to happen in advance, especially if it's not a good thing. And you know, the funny thing with this trade is it's not super likely to play out either, unfortunately. So if you're not really willing to lose money, I wouldn't take any of this. This market open is turning into a terrible hour. I'm not a fan on trading this garbage. If this does come down, I'll give puts one more opportunity, which means I'll stop out of this. I'll allot 2 opportunities for each, and that'll be done. Still green on the day. If I lose on this trade, I'll be pretty much break even. And it looks like I'm going to lose, and it looks like I'm going to have to hop back into puts, which is freaking awesome. Love to see it. Gosh, I hate tight stop losses too. Stop losses are way too tight. If that full green candle invalidates, I have to be back in puts. Yep, I'm in. Been pretty heavy for puts for the scalp. I love getting just thrashed around by the terrible first hour market. I feel like the market's been compressing a lot lately for the first hour. That looks horrible. I'm getting freaking thrashed around right now. That is a super bullish buying wick. That happened right at the end of that candle. I was gonna go into heavy. I was gonna go heavy into puts. I canceled that, um, but I'm still on it, in unfortunately. And yeah, it's not. This is not a fun time. I feel like this kind of price action has been happening more often lately with the first hour of market open. I have no idea why, but it's usually like you get a compressive market open like this 1 out of every 15 mornings, and I feel like it's been 1 out of every like 7 or 8 lately, which is still not enough for me to change my strategy at all, but it's not desirable. Yeah, now I'm actually leaning bullish because of that buying wick. I think the chance to squeeze may play out. I want to re-enter SPX calls. I can't do it because we're about to have news. See, we'll have news in 20 seconds. Sentiment, and that looks like what the market's compressing for. So let's see which way this ends up breaking. I have a feeling it's going to break to the upside. Looking pretty bullish on ES. NQ looks like it's struggling against that supply zones quite a bit, though. I think ES is going to get it squeezed, which means the SPX calls end up working after all. But I couldn't be in for them because I'm getting freaking thrashed around by this compressive market and with very close PTs as well. This doesn't look like news yet, though. I don't think it dropped just yet. Now it might have dropped. Let me see. Yeah, maybe my puts are saved. Unless it close, if it closed with a buying wick, they're not saved. Really nothing like very tight first hour of market open compression to finish off your week. Well, now I can pick out a hard stop loss for these dang puts that have a terrible average on because um, if it gets over that, I have to be out. And honestly, my NQPT is gonna have to be low day. Holds me. We'll see. I might just if the market keeps being crappy, like I sense it through the break. If it breaks, doesn't look like it's gonna break though. That is super bullish. So I'm gonna have to stop out of these. All right, fill the SPX calls for my final trade. I am fully triggered into that. Yeah, it could come back down, but that's I'm not going to keep trading this market. I'll put on one more trade. If it doesn't work, that's fine. It's looking like futures will have a good day. So this will be my first red day this week on options. Yeah. Possibly the first red day in 2 weeks. But I just can't. I can't compete with this. But yeah, look at this. Look at this. This is why I went half size. See how I'm back to being bearish on ES? Yeah, I can't trade any more of this. I'll just accept the red day. I'm down by 2 green trades today. So not a terribly large red day, but not a super small one. I can't trade. And watch, the second that I stop trading, it's finally going to be beautiful. There's a break to the downside. ES should be able to get demand. It actually flipped a lot weaker than NQ, so I'm thinking we could drop quite a ways. But I'm just hoping futures is not half as bad as that. That is like the worst price action for market open I've at least seen in definitely since Christmas. It's lucky. I am lucky that I made money on that first trade because really looking at this price action, I'm not really supposed to have a single green trade today as far as how I trade the markets. But there's the break to the downside. So if you held those puts, you ended up making money. Never mind, you didn't make money. Oh my gosh. What happened to them? They got destroyed. Oh my gosh. I just looked at the contract prices. Are you kidding me? Guys, look at this contract chart on Discord. My average on these puts were 3.1. Look at the ES chart and look at the SPX. Now I don't feel bad about my stop loss. That's fine. Look at that. Look how much we're dumping right now and look how small the bounce was on those contracts. Right here, those puts were 3.5, and right here at low of day, they were at 1.5. Oh my gosh, that's like the worst. Market makers just freaking smoked everyone, I guess. I don't know why the implied volatility dropped so much on those puts, but yeah, those puts did nothing at all. Good grief. Once a few hours, decided that my pivot strategy found out. Oh, nice job. Yeah, sorry the last stream is a red day on options. I simply just can't. My strategy doesn't pay me any money when we compress like that. And the reality is, this kind of market open is so rare that I can't tailor my strategy to it. I have to assume during the first hour of market open that price action is going to chase liquidity, ranges are going to get broken out of, and pivots are going to get swept. I have to assume that because that's what's statistically reliable. But on a morning where the exact opposite of that happens, I can't do it. And even if I wanted to make money on these puts, I wouldn't have been able to because we dropped too fast and I would have had to change my strikes a million times, apparently, to get to the right puts. I wouldn't have been able to make money on these anyways. Calls got calls got destroyed too. Well, good thing for stop losses, right? Jeez. But still, it's like, yeah. You got to be kidding me. This is like actually unbelievable. This is the worst chop I've ever seen in my life. Or it's up there with the worst. Like this is insane. To put this in a perspective, okay? I entered my puts at like 3.3 here, and then it shot up right at the end of the candle. And I was back to being bullish, got baited into calls one more time, and then I had to stop out. But I stopped out of these puts roughly here, and I stopped out of these puts right here on this green candle at, let me check. Uh, 2.8. There's no way that's right. No, yeah. 2 point, wait. I didn't lose nearly as much. I thought. Wait, am I tripping right now? Because I'm pulling up the options chart. Because again, I don't look at my prices when I freaking sell because I'm on the active trader. But looking back, I sold it at um like 2.85. And this green candle on ES, see this green candle on ES 802? That was a green candle on the puts chart. And at 8:02 a.m. my time, this was a red candle on the calls. Is there something I'm missing here? Like, am I missing something? Can you guys hop on Thinkorswim and verify this? Why is this green candle green on puts and red on calls? So I actually entered at a pretty good price on these calls. I mean, I entered these calls at freaking 2.35 is what I filled them on, and I stopped out at the end of the next candle at freaking 1.4, which is terrible. I mean, these calls dropped from 2.4 all the way to 1.15 in one single candle at 8:03. And this candle was 8:03, and it wasn't a very big candle. So for some reason, all of the contracts just dumped at 8:03, like all of them. The puts. Oh wait, never mind. I was 1 minute behind. I was 1 minute behind. Yeah, I don't know. No, I sold the puts early. How did I get that fill? I don't know. Like the calls got freaking nuked at 8:03. The puts got nuked at 8:02. Um, yeah, that's bizarre. Why do the calls get such a big red candle on this green one? But this is beautiful price action now. See how we dumped, we swept liquidity, and now we're invalidating. Now I'm bullish for the break to the upside. But anyways, to put this into perspective, my average on these puts was 3.3 here. The price of these puts all the way down here. So I entered at 3.3 here. The price of these puts all the way down here at 808 was 1.85. You're up 52 ticks on your trade on ES, and you're down 40%. Looks super bullish now. This is the most like confusing options chart that I've read in a long time. This makes no sense whatsoever. Like the fact that you can enter puts right here, and this isn't a big weight too. You enter puts right here at 3.3, and then uh 10 minutes later, sorry, like 12 minutes later, you're down 40%. And ES went down 52 ticks. That's freaking nuts. That's nuts. That's the worst IV. That's like ER. That's like earning report level IV crush right there. That's freaking crazy, man. And you know what's funny? This 803 candle's a red candle on ES. This was a red candle on puts as well. Yeah, no. So now I was misreading it. Yeah, the puts, the calls, I didn't lose much on because for some reason this call candle was a freaking red one. It was the puts that I lost more on. Yeah, that's crazy. The IV crush there is insane. But this is super bullish now. This looks freaking great for ES supply. But I'm looking forward to trading futures because if the first hour was terrible, what are the odds the second and third hour are also terrible? But it does kind of gives me more peace of mind that it would have been impossible for it to, all that effort was in vain because it would have literally been impossible for me to make money on that drop because the contract got IV crushed. That's crazy. Type in chat, is there any of you guys that held put, any of you guys in the YouTube chat, because you guys trade a little bit more options than my place, is there any of you guys that held puts and got absolutely cooked even on that drop? So I'm sure there had to have been a couple of you that ended up sticking with the puts and expecting the break to the downside. Do you get destroyed by the chop as well, or did that not happen on SPY? I did 75%. That is crazy, man. That's a big move to the downside, too. That's like a big decisive move. And my hypothesis wasn't that early. Like on my put re-entry, I mean, I entered on the 756 candle, and by 808, it got there. It dumped. So that's only a 12-minute hold. That's crazy. Crazy drop didn't even get me to break. Yeah. That freaking sucks, guys. We got freaking scammed this Friday. Maybe I'll do at some other point in January because we got scammed so hard today. Not next week, maybe the week after, maybe next week. We'll see. We'll do one extra live stream this January to get our revenge against the market, the evil market makers. You bailed at 54% down. That's a good bail, Diamond. I mean, if you guys are in options and you see that you're getting the exact move you want and you're not making any money on it, you need to get out. Especially when ES is heading into demand, NQ's getting these sweeps. Because I was both bullish and bearish. I just didn't know which was going to happen first. When the odds of a bounce start going up, and if your puts aren't going up when the market's going your way, you can imagine what's going to happen when the market doesn't go your way. Your puts are going to get tanked. Those puts right now are at 60 cents. These puts right here are at 60 cents. And on this green candle here at 802. So if you entered at the top of this green candle at 802. Actually, that's actually a pretty good fill because they dumped. Let's go here. If you enter puts on this candle at 759, at 759, you filled around 2.7, okay? The market has come all the way back up to your entry level, and these puts are now 67 cents. You're down like 70 to 80% on the trade, even though it's right back to where you started. That's freaking crazy. The SCOA's decision on the tariffs was supposed to come out today. Yep, that makes sense. Thank you guys for telling me that. I can't really check for that kind of news because I'm live on YouTube, live on Discord, reading two chats, and have Thinkorswim open. But that makes sense. Yeah, we got freaking scammed by that. Which means option sellers is printed, but really, that news new? Because it says Supreme Court finishes opinion release for Friday. It says Supreme Court may rule on tariffs today. Where are you guys seeing that? Okay, yeah, no, I see it at 8:04. Supreme Court will not rule on Friday on Trump's tariffs case. Huh, I didn't know it was actually going to be that big of a market mover. That's crazy. We got freaking scammed, folks. I mean, it didn't really change me because I wasn't in for that entire drop at all. I do think my calls probably would have played out if that didn't happen because it was kind of set up to do that. But yeah, it's a freaking scam and a half. Well, at least we are people who honor our stop losses. So my red days aren't bigger than my green ones. My red day today is pretty much the same size as yesterday's green one. Which is kind of sad because yesterday's green one was a decent one. Oh yeah, TCG. TCG posted it first. I appreciate it. Which means I'm jealous of you future traders this first hour. Even though I wouldn't have made any money on futures out. Actually, I wouldn't have been confirmed into anything. I'm jealous. We'll see how futures does though. Today's nothing more than a business expense. Yeah. Yeah, but we'll find out if it continues to be business expense because I got my futures trading coming out. Makes sense though. You know, it's rare that I have a day like that to where I flip flop a bunch of times and end up getting crushed. That makes sense because it's pretty rare occasions that that stuff happen, and typically when it does happen, some like weird thing happened in the market. Like that's perfect reason. But for those of you who are trading futures, I wish I could be in with you guys because that was a beautiful bullish liquidity sweep. It validated a majority of the move. Looks fantastic to get that ES pre-market eye. Everything that I wanted to happen ended up playing out. Sucks I couldn't make any money on it though, really does. January 9th, 2026, the day of the great hornswoggling. That's what it was. Took more loss on futures the first hour than options. Yeah, futures isn't it. So like for me with my future strategy, I wouldn't have been triggered really into anything because it's so strict. But if I were trading that subjectively, yeah, because your stop loss just keep getting swept. Mine's $4 off from yesterday's. Yeah, no. Freaking options took a dump today. Good grief. What a scam. That's going to happen sometimes. Sometimes you're going to get scammed, and it's important that on days where you get really unlucky, you identify, okay, how rare are these super, super unlucky days? If they're common, that means your TA is bad. You need to fix it. But they should be pretty rare. And if they're rare, how rare are they? Once a month, once every couple of months? Today's is probably once every couple months, right? Once every 2 months, I have a day like today on options. So identify how rare it is, then ask yourself, is it worth risking my accounts to try to fix such a rare and unlucky event? Because if you lose your accounts today, whether it's futures or you blow your options portfolio, what about all the other days coming up that are going to be just as lucky? Right? We've had a pretty good week this week. Yesterday we got pretty lucky at the end. The day before was nothing but 2 massive freaking green trades. You're going to miss out on all the super lucky experiences. And what I tell my group all the time is for every super unlucky that day, there is an opposite super lucky day on the nearby horizon. And you'll never experience getting lucky. You blow your damn accounts. That's why so many traders always feel like, I only get unlucky. I only lose. And it's like, no. It's because every time you get unlucky, you lose all your damn money and blow all your futures accounts. So by the times you are lucky, you don't have a freaking account to trade, you know? Okay, let's review. As far as my future strategy is concerned, this is the first potential trigger here. So we have a liquidity sweep. Yeah, we have a liquidity sweep. That's it. So no, I can't get in there. Here we have liquidity sweep plus liquidity momentum going against supply and a bearish liquidity sweep 2-2. No. I have liquidity sweeps on both sides. I have supply and demand going on both sides. No, I can't be triggered and it's still 250-50. But here, okay, well now what do we have? I have a liquidity sweep, a volume spike, and we're in demand. That's 3 going against trend. And I'll only be going against trend if I go against the supply. And I won't have to go against this liquidity sweep. So that's an easy trade that can be done. You can also argue that NQ stronger than ES. I think it is. So you have 4, which means if you want to extend this a little further, you probably could. Because now you're able to go against supply. But if you wait, if this invalidated majority of the move, which it did, when it got to supply, say this was your PT, well, now you can argue for a re-entry. The argue is liquidity sweep, number 1, liquidity momentum, number 2, strong is number 3, going against supply and liquidity sweep 2. I don't really think so unless you add chopping down, but that's a lot to add. So I don't think I would have been able to stay in longs for this run. But this is a beautiful freaking short squeeze. I mean, this is what I was trying to get to happen. And unfortunately, it played out before my futures trading. So we'll see how futures trading goes. I have 2 minutes until I'm able to trade futures. But yeah, as far as the bigger trade, I don't really think I would have been able to enter because that supply was an issue. But yeah, no, all the pivots ended up happening. If you're able to keep trading, ended up turning into a good morning. But yeah, if you're trading options, you got freaking fried. I am very bullish for all-time highs, though, folks. All-time highs are right up here. 70.11.75. That is a perfect double top on ES right here. That needs to break. We actually have a lot of sentiment now. A lot of sentiment. Lots of sentiment. Give me one second. Let me fill out my journal if I can find it. Where'd that go? Oh, there it is. All right, it is 7:30. How am I going to be? I mean, 8:30. How am I going to be able to enter? Well, I have to follow my strategy. I need bullish consolidation. If I can have bullish consolidation, I'll have bullish consolidation, trend, liquidity sweep going against supply. I need bullish consolidation, and I'll take a trade. Honestly, my PT will probably just beat all-time highs. I'm not even joking, even though it's far. That is a perfect double top on ES. High day needs to break on ES. Making now even a good entry, but I can't get in. Would not be allowed to. We're right back, guys. NQ strong. It's in an uptrend, and it's a bullish liquidity sweep. It's unorthodox, but I could technically be triggered into NQ long here. I technically can. Pretty good on ES to get the high. There's ES getting the high. You could go long on NQ here. There's an argument to be made. I maybe could have entered right here on this candle. Let's see, it was strong. Liquidity sweep. Trend. Yeah, I kind of think I should have. Let me see. Where would this go to? I kind of think I should be in this trade, guys. Where'd stop loss even be? Right here ish. Kind of looks like NQ slipping weaker. This is a hard decision. Yeah. I'm so contemplating right now. If this candle flips going, I'll probably just enter. It isn't as natural of an entry as other ones. Like usually, yeah, there it is. The problem is it's technically not continuation on pivot because ES wasn't on the pivot. Um, it was under the pivot at the time, and it was 3-to-1 keywords. But realistically, I'm kind of biased for ES all-time highs, which is kind of an issue. I don't know, honestly. It's a very tough decision to make. It's trying to turn into a bearish liquidity sweep on ES. Problem is, I need to make the decision like right now. Um, I filled it, but it's so gray area. It's completely up to you guys. For me, it's just like, okay, what would I be more? What would hurt my psychology more? Me entering and stopping out, or me not entering and missing out on the all-time high break on ES. For me, stopping out would pretty much confirm that okay, that's not a valid entry. I can't do that, even though the keywords are valid. The issue with me though is typically if this were one more oscillation, 100% would, like 110% without a doubt. But because it's technically not either liquidity momentum, like an invalidation of most of a move, like a big one, or a consolidation where it gets a second oscillation, it's technically an unnatural entry. The problem is on Wednesday, my first trade was similar. It was an unnatural entry, kind of like this, a little bit bigger scale. It had the keywords it needed. Um, there was 4 keywords and 1 confirmed keyword, so it was 4-to-1, so a little bit better odds. But it was an unnatural entry, kind of like this, where it just invalidated. It just did 1 oscillation, and I filled. The problem is it was red though, so if this one loses for me, that'll just kind of cement that, and that'll cement this gray area of the strategy, and that's one extra gray area removed. So I'm willing to take a small shot on it, but it looks like it's going to lose, so I probably wouldn't enter. Let me document all this. If you're waiting to enter, if it validates this entire drop, it'll be pretty good. Um, I would prefer if it puts in 2 oscillations, but you never know if it's going to put in the second oscillation though. So it's kind of a really tough decision. But for me, I'm pretty much just paying to find out if I'm ever allowed to do this again. Because if I get 2 losses in the same week on this kind of similar thing, then that's pretty easy to never do again. I mean, that last red candle is pretty bearish, so we'll see. We're right back, guys. Looks like that bearish liquidity sweep is playing out on ES. So I'm expecting this to get the stop loss, and that pretty much solidifies that gray area. Which sucks short term, but it's good long term for my strategy. All right, so now I need two oscillations to enter, but it's going to be really hard for me to enter longs because now we have a bearish liquidity sweep I'm going against. So it's not super likely to happen. That looks bear. I'm not really bullish for all-time highs anymore. That's a really bearish rejection of this pivot, and it's not even a very big pivot at all. It kind of looks like the ES may be going for the 61.8. I can't tell. Did we already break the 38.2%? No, not yet. So if ES invalidates the majority of the move, I'm still not really going to be able to get in. Because if we invalidate a majority of the move, I'll have a liquidity sweep, liquidity momentum, and maybe one will be weaker. Right now it looks like NQ is a little weaker. But I'll be going against a liquidity sweep and demand. So 3 at the max, good work keywords, and 2 at the minimum for bad keywords. I don't think I'm going to be able to enter shorts at all. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to enter shorts. It's going to be a while before I have a trade. Looks like we're going for the 61A fib. It's the way it's dropping is it's kind of looking like we may go all the way back down. Like that entire move meant nothing. That's kind of the way it looks like it's trying to drop. Sure, though, this is a potential reversal candle off the 50%. That is a volume spike, so that is indeed a reversal candle. It's all going to depend on how this next candle opens. Let's see if this next candle opens bullish or bearish. Or this candle is going to close without the buying wick, and then it's going to close bearish. No, maybe not. Not that bearish of an open. NQ's open was much more bearish. But that was kind of 50-50. Not a very strong bounce at all. I'm thinking it's probably going to continue down. We'll see, though. The candle can close different. The next candle can open very different. I'm not really seeing any opportunities for any official trades, though, even if we come back up. There's just too much supply and demand on NQ blocking everything. It's a bearish candle open on NQ. Pretty bearish, actually, but I can still foresee a bounce. If that bearish, yeah, it looks like the bearish candle is invalidating. We might be able to squeeze back to the upside. Kind of looking like we may put in bearish consolidation, and I still can't see in a scenario where I can be properly triggered into a trade. Is that it goes back to low day. Premium dropped to from $48 to $9. Ouch, man. Yeah, today the premiums got freaking destroyed today. That's a super bearish candle. But if we were to invalidate that, that looks pretty good for a short squeeze. Green candle looks pretty bearish to me. It looks like we're making a lower low. I'll be right back, guys. Look, strike is trying to squeeze back to the upside. That's a bullish candle open on NQ. Maybe not. Maybe it is turning into bearish consolidation. I don't know. It's looks pretty 50-50 here. Thinking I might not be able to get a trade in for a while. NQ's demands kind of screws me up because and I have bearish liquidity sweep, bearish consolidation, but I don't have liquidity momentum, and I'm still going against demand. If this bearish consolidation were happening a little bit lower, and I just take it to ES demand and ES were weaker, I think I'd be able to do it. Because right now I have liquidity sweep, bearish consolidation, and I can say that it's weak. That's 3 going against NQ demand and liquidity sweep. I might be triggered in here though. Wait, yeah, it's 3 right now. But the problem is I'd have to put a fairly close PT. If I go to the 61.8, I'm triggered in. That's risky. I feel like none of these trades are going to work out. I don't feel like any of them are going to work out, to be honest. But yeah, no, if I go to the 61.8, I don't really have to go against the liquidity sweep. So I did fill it. It's technically okay. I guess I'll just go 1-to-1. But I'm not confident in anything, to be honest. I think it's way too 50-50. There's something that kind of needs to be ironed out though. Like if we go to the 61.8, which is a really close PT, I don't think I have to include the NQ liquidity sweep at all, but it's all debatable. This is such a hazardous area though. This is, not only is this VWAP, but this is the ES little pivot right here. So let's see if it bullishly sweeps it or not. I think there's a pretty decent chance it bounces there. Yep, that looks like a good bounce to me. This candle shot up pretty quick. How many monitors do you guys use? Two. Yeah, one monitor is tough, John. I mean, it's not as tough for you as it would be for me because I have to alert my trades and whatnot and run streams and stuff. But yeah, uh, you should probably have two monitors because you got to run three applications. You got to run TradingView, you got to run your brokerage, and you have to run Discord. Yeah, you can do two on one monitor, no problem, but three becomes an issue. It's a pretty bullish bounce on NQ. Let's see how far it goes. It looks like we could go all the way back up. That's a really bullish bounce to me. That's a really strong candle on NQ. It made one single lower low and that was enough for it. I think the direction of the day may still be up. Price has two 57-inch monitors. Well, if you look at my YouTube profile, you can see my old setup. I had two very small normal monitors that I was actually gifted by a friend of mine back in, was that summer of 21? I think that was late summer of 2021. I was gifted two monitors. 57, not 49. Yeah, no, mine are 57 inches. That's me looking at my monitors. That freaking Giffen chat. You dropped the cup today. Oof. It still looks kind of bullish. It kind of still looks bullish. I'm kind of thinking I'll stop out of this, but it is technically a valid trade. It's perfectly fine. These buying wicks are super bullish on ESC small ones, but if this entire green candle invalidates, I think it's going to hit BT. Don't think it's going to happen though. These buying wicks look pretty good for a push to the upside. And Q kind of looks like it's gearing to make a new run to Hive Day. It's it's done a really good job. All these candle opens have been pretty bullish, and even these red candles on the way down, pretty much all had selling wicks. Yeah, low and it feels pretty nice. Here's NQ going for it. Looks pretty bullish. Looks like it's short squeeze time. Was 100% valid trade. This was first formal trade of the day is an L. Hopefully that doesn't continue, but that would confirm the free stream curse. It's a pretty bullish candle open. The thing is, though, this can perfectly sweep my stop loss, and if we come back down, I'll have to get back in. Because it's still bearish consolidation on ES, and it's still weak. I just can't stop out any further because it's a 1-to-1. Oh, here comes new high of day, and I will not be able to be in for it, unfortunately. 1-0 as far as 0-1 as far as formal trades go, and yeah, I kind of had a feeling NQ was gonna squeeze towards high of day. I don't know. This whole week is this whole week's been terrible for second and third hour of trading futures. Last week was great, but I think it could be the free stream curse still in effect right now. I hang out on my phone until I can get triggered into something. I'm not actually seeing like anything. Even if we do come back down, I won't have a bearish consolidation, unfortunately. NQ's really bullish right now. If ES can get above that pivot, then I can technically take another long. But the problem is I'm going to be stuck taking a long pretty much at high of day because it's the only thing I can get triggered into. Pretty bullish though. That's a very nice looking short squeeze. My sentiment, I now have my bullish sentiment again for all-time highs. Looks like that drop was absolutely pointless. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get in for it though. I mean, once again, I have, you know, liquidity sweep strong. Um, yeah, this liquidity sweeps ruins everything because I would be able to have been in here for the liquidity momentum on NQ, and I'd have liquidity sweep, liquidity momentum, and strong going against supply. But I'm going against supply and the ES liquidity sweep, so I can't get triggered in. So it looks like it's gonna be a while before I can take a trade. If I miss up on, if I have to miss out on all-time highs, that's gonna suck. I'll hang it on my phone until I can get triggered into something. It's not looking very good for. I think this whole day is kind of just shot. The free stream curse continues. I don't really see much opportunity because I really want to participate in all-time highs, but this strategy is not going to trigger me in. I don't think. Same way you trade normally, just fib extensions for PTs. Not much changes at all-time highs. I mean, we've been trading all-time highs for years, pretty much. Looks like ES is flipping stronger though, and see how it gets new high of day. It should have no problem getting to the supply cluster. We'll see how it reacts to it. I'm really bullish for all-time highs, so you guys can take the trade, but I'm gonna unfortunately have to sit it out because I can't get triggered in. The only proper trade I was triggered into today was this one. So I'm gonna hang out on my phone until something changes. I could get triggered into a reversal trade. I do not want to take it though. I don't think they're. I do not think that's gonna work. But I need one to be weaker. It looks like NQ slipping weaker, but No, that looks pretty good. That's baby bullish consolidation on NQ. So ES looks good for all-time high, not all-time highs. Oh, it does, but looks good for a new high of day here. Looks great. I'm so bullish for it to get all-time highs. I really wish I can be in. I might not say the full 2 hours. If it gets all-time highs, it doesn't sweep the pivot and it doesn't put in um, bullish consolidation. Probably not going to stay for the whole 2 hours because I do have a really busy day today, and I don't think there's going to be any opportunity for this strategy. Oh, it looks great to get there. Looks very good. That's ES new high of day. Doesn't really look like it's gonna bearishly sweep it. I mean, it could. It did get really high volume there, like absurdly high volume. I wouldn't give that volume spike as a keyword though. The only keyword it can get is weak from NQ because it is technically weak. I do not want to enter a reversal trade though. I'm pretty freaking bullish for this. My hypothesis was once we're around 7,001 on ES and we hold that level, I'll be looking for all-time highs. And it's kind of looking like that's going to happen today. The only thing is there is a potential huge rising wedge, so it's totally possible it doesn't happen. I'm not thinking the rising wedge is high odds of playing out. Cobra says, so glad you've started doing this. I'll be tuning in next week. Well, unfortunately, I'm only doing this 1 week every single month. So it's the first week of each month I'll be live on YouTube. I'm not doing this every single day. You want to treat all time. How do you treat all time high? I don't really treat it different at all. You just don't have as many pivots to the upside. So if you enter a bullish trade, it either needs to be like a pattern based trade, so like first leg consolidation, second leg, or it has to be something different. Like you can use fib extensions, for example. I'm sure most of you guys know how to use fib extensions, but fib extensions work fine as well. I'm sorry. Like this would give you your price targets, right? Highlights are the 38.2% and the 61.8. Also, the 121 is a big one all the way up here. Or was it 1627? Okay, maybe it was 127. I don't remember. I don't. Can you deeply explain it? Yeah. But don't you love us, freeloader? So much, Bree. So much. No, that's not Bree, but so much. You guys are my favorite. Absolute favorite. But hey, it's gonna be interesting though because futures options was fine this week. One red day, whatever. We got freaking scammed today with that Supreme Court thing. I think that's why the market was so hell before the chop. Is people found out about that and there was so much indecision. Um, so I think that Supreme Court thing ruined the entire options morning. But as for options, it's fine. Futures, though, we do have a joke, and it's not really a joke where it's like futures is not good if you're streaming for free. Last time I did futures for free, it was read every single day. Not even bad psychology or anything like that, just genuinely read every single day. And then premium will be green every single day. We went on like a 6-day streak recently or something, so. Yeah, Swag, I'm always live on Discord. I'm always live on Discord. What time will they rule the tariffs? I don't know. It's not today anymore. It might be Monday or over the weekend. I didn't look that far into it. But next week's gonna be a big one for sure. It's tough to find it. And it's bearish liquidity sweep right there. Or it's trying to be, or it could be bullish consolidation. But based on this candle, that's a pretty bearish candle. It's not looking like it's not looking like that's gonna turn into bullish consolidation. A dealership sent me my money.
Well, what would you do?
Finally. Stupid dealership has owed me a bunch of money for freaking weeks now. I'm like, yeah, it's like a whole thing. So I sold the first McLaren that I've bought, the green one. The dealership was owing me a bunch of money, and they kept saying they'll send it. We'll send it right after Christmas. We'll send it, so on and so forth. Blah blah blah. I keep getting pushed. I'm like, why the hell is it getting pushed out? And they're blaming it like the girls in the back office, like, oh, they're getting slow. They're going through the piles. Start pressing them a little bit more because something's going on. And finally, they sent the confirmation of the wire. And the next day, I didn't get it. Sure enough, they freaking got the dang account number wrong. But we're good now. So, I can try to rush things, but what do you guys think about the Minecraft server release tomorrow? What do you guys think about that? Is that like a good day to rush it for? Are McLarens hard to sell? Stonky, that's a good question. It depends on the model and how rare. No. Um, Not at all. Honestly, it's not hard to sell. Mine wasn't hard to sell. Mine is so it's a McLaren 570S. It's 2016, so it was an older year, but it was the most expensive one in North America when I bought it, and it sold as the most expensive one in North America for the year in miles. I put 12K miles on that car, or 13,000. So it got up to like 23,000, which is a lot. But the car had 60 grand in mods and was a very, very, very high spec car. It's the highest spec car on the market for that model. And even in person, there's not a single person I've ever met that didn't believe that hands down my 570 was the most beautiful 570 in the entire country. And I'm not to be biased, but it's 100% true. So mine wasn't even listed on Car Gurus, and it sold within 2 weeks. Um, so yeah, mine had no issue selling. Yeah, so I can spend more weekend on it. Okay. Did the dealership try? No, I co-signed it with them. I didn't sell it to the dealership. I just co-signed it with them. They didn't take anything because they made a little bit of money on the financing. So yeah, when you go to sell a car, co-signing is the way to go. Or as far as an exotic car like that. But also, I mean, I wrote off that car for tax purposes because I used it as a business vehicle. So I didn't really lose any money on that car. And so that is a bearish liquidity sweep on ES. That is a bearish liquidity sweep. We are in supply as well. The problem is it's not any, it's the same strength as NQ pretty much. You could argue it might be a little bit weaker, but NQ is at the bottom of this 912 candle, so is ES. I really don't want to enter a reversal trade. But yeah. Yeah, Stonky, but you'll be able to play it on anything. You'll be able to play it on anything. A car like that wouldn't make it down my ranch road. Best friend almost killed him in the... Diamond, there's a front lift. You'd be surprised. There's a front lift on that car, so you can, if you're smart in navigating, it'll be fine. But I also have a, you know, LTZ Duramax. I have a very nice truck, 6-inch lift and whatnot, so I have vehicles. I have a bunch of them. English is hard today. I feel that. Saw something on Twitter saying Wednesday the 14th is when the Supreme Court rules are expected. Okay, that's useful. Thanks. Yeah, guys, I'm not really able to enter much. The only thing you can enter is a short based on this pattern here. Let's see, pattern, bearish liquidity sweep, supply going against trend. I've never used a rising wedge for a pattern, at least one this big. I've never used this one as a pattern keyword. And really the problem is the PT would be, I mean, you can just go to the 38.2%. Or maybe that may line up with the 61.8 of this move. No. You could just go to the 38.2%, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not really feeling it. I'll take a medium-sized loss and on, but we'll see. Looks like the rising wedge is playing out though. I mean, there was a decent excuse to enter the reversal trade. You guys could have, but we'll see how far. Let's see if it actually gets down to where it's supposed to go. All right, guys, I'm gonna step out of the office real quick. Give me just 1 second. All right, I'm back. Looks like it's still trying to play out that rising wedge. Give me one second. I'm like doing a bunch of other work on my computer right now. I'm actually somewhat distracted. Yeah, it's not looking like there's going to be much else today, folks. Not looking like much. Pretty much only one formal strategy trade today, and that's it. But we'll see. Maybe this rising wedge does end up playing out. All right, Apex 80% off again. We prefer to enter the trades with both higher and lower time frame 1 minute, showing the same trend. I only use the 1 minute setup for this strategies in, but yeah, we'll see. I have a lot of work to do today with this strategy. Like I have a lot of catching up, back testing to do, auditing to do, all those things. I've only been formally executing this strategy for roughly a month and a half now, maybe. Um, so we'll kind of see. But I'll hang out for a little bit longer. I'm not really seeing much else. I am bullish for all-time highs, but I have no idea when it's going to happen. I'd assume later today. But with this huge rising wedge on ES, it might delay it till Monday or Sunday. So we'll see. That Supreme Court thing kind of messed up the market today. It's like the stream is starting to lag a bit. Just realized I've been muted. I'm still sticking around because if it did put in bullish consolidation and was strong, it would actually be 4-2 odds. Because I'd have liquidity sweep, trend, strong, bullish consolidation. ES is a teeny bit stronger than NQ, but it doesn't look like it's putting in bullish consolidation. Looks pretty decent though for high of day or for all-time highs on ES. That looks pretty good for all-time highs. I'm fully expecting it to get there. I'm not going to be able to make any money on it, unfortunately. I'll actually hang out and see it get all-time highs. NQ's coming up on the next pivot as well. It would have formed bullish consolidation and man, but it only got one oscillation, not two. Back, guys. Looks great to get there. Type in chat. Is anyone invested in this move to all-time high on ES? Sadly, me. Oh, you might not be sad here. It looks like it's moving the right way. In NQ options and futures. Okay, Qs are looking strong. I assume you're in like tomorrow's expiration, John. Looks pretty good. NQ's coming up on this pivot here. ES looks great to all-time highs. Um, I could, if ES rejected here, it would be baby bullish consolidation, but with NQ on the pivot, it would actually be continuation on the pivot. So I'm handcuffed here. I can't participate, unfortunately. Don't listen. Got trapped in puts. You got trapped in puts. Oh, you meant like didn't listen. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Dan. Yeah, it's trading's hard, man. Trading's hard even for me sometimes. It's a very hard thing, but it's just a matter of no matter how bad it hurts, you have to keep getting up. You cannot stop getting up. All you have to do is plan financially to be wise, which is why I recommend funded futures because if you're trading options, you can't always get back up because you're out of money. When you lose that much money, it strains your life too, and Pressure does not make diamonds in trading. You need a pressure-free environment, so losses matter. But if you use your money wisely to where, okay, I'm not spending more than a few $100s a month on trading, max, for an entire month. That's including Discord membership. That's including funded accounts. Then you're going to be able to keep getting back up no matter what. It's actually possible to do. Options, it's hit or miss. I think you did barely miss that pivot. Or is that a perfect? Let's see. Is this perfect? No, not quite. Barely missed it though. That's within missed pivot territory. So that's a key word. This is bullish consolidation on ES. Looks like. NQ isn't really strong though. So we have bullish consolidation. We have bullish consolidation, liquidity sweep down here, and trend. Technically, yeah, I could enter. I don't really feel like losing money on it, but I can technically enter when we get one more small green candle. Let me make sure this did not make a higher high. Did not. Yeah, I'm technically able to get in. If it puts in one more small green candle, I enter here. I think this will be the one trade I take. I wouldn't say it's super likely to play out. I just feel like today's just a pretty unlucky day. But this would technically be a trade here. Let's see if that happens. No, doesn't look like it's putting in that. I wouldn't really call it bullish consolidation if it comes back up, but it depends how it looks. Yeah, and it's also, yeah, I'm gonna have to enter this. Pretty much at the place that I want to enter it, though. Can't really enter it under that. That's looking pretty okay. That looks pretty okay. It didn't quite get as high as I wanted to. Didn't quite get as high as I wanted to, but I filled it. It just got a bit of a better risk reward. Let's see if this day keeps being super unlucky. 10. Wow. This could be a 5 to freaking 1 trade, which typically in my data is actually too good to be true. But I mean, we have trend and bullish consolidation, non-debatable. Other liquidity sweep, non-debatable. That's 3 going against supply. At the time of entry, ES is also strong. And not only it's strong, But if I include the other missed pivot on NQ, that actually kind of helps. I don't know whether to include that. But yeah. So let's see if this trade works out. As far as formal strategy, following on break even on the day, but I'll still have that one loss, which it's one of those things where it never happens again because I had to rule out gray area in the strategy. As far as the formal strategy testing, it's tiny green on the day, I guess. See if it gets there. It's the last pivot, and it's a major one. Last pivot before all-time highs. This is the major pivot. This is the only resistance there is really between all-time highs and now. So let's see if it sweeps it or if it continues through. I'm thinking it's probably going to continue through. It's pretty solid right now. I'm going to mute my mic for a bit and just kind of hang out on my phone until it gets PT or dumps. Looks like it's having issues against that pivot there. That's a liquidity sweep right there. Did play out as bullish consolidation, but the consolidation was small, so the rest is up to the trend. And it looks like ES is also flipping weak. Guys, I'm gonna have to hop out soon. I got stuff to do, and it looks like unfortunately this trade's gonna take forever. ES did really bearishly sweep that pivot now, and ES is a lot stronger, which is nice, but it's looking like it's gonna take forever. So I'm just gonna leave my orders up and hop out. But I'll keep you guys updated on everything I'm working on because I'm gonna have a lot of strategy data coming up. So we'll probably do a strategy session. I'm thinking maybe Sunday, reviewing things. And yeah, we'll be doing that. Looks like it's dropping now. ES is on support. We'll see how it tests the support. But yeah, I'll leave my orders up. Pretty lame day. I just couldn't take advantage of the uptrend, unfortunately, on futures. And then options was terrible. Futures wasn't that bad, but options was a rough day today. So hopefully we'll test it out. Free curse maybe over next week. So if next week is fantastic, we will know why. But all right, I'll see you guys later, and we'll do the trade review later today. Probably we'll see. It's Friday and I'm busy, so I'll do a poll and see who's all available. All right, I'll see you guys later.